Okay. Okay, so welcome. Should be Yeshua Palm Yisrael. Nun Vav Amud Beis. So yes, so we did the Mishnah at the beginning of Gemara. In the short, the Mishnah says that Hamakadosh B'Yisrael no is not good Kiddushin, and it's simple because it's not worth anything. If it's Yisrael no, it's not worth. It has no value. So therefore it's not a good Kiddushin. The Mishnah gives many examples. I think about 9. And that's what the Gemara is going to elaborate. How do you know that all these things are also bana? But the Yisod is pashut that if it's also bana, once we know that it's also bana, so then it makes sense it shouldn't be Kiddushin. Right. Then the Mishnah ends off, as if he sold the Surya, which he wasn't supposed to, when he got money for it. So he did it in this, sir, because he got money, he's nene, but the money doesn't become Masr also. Rashi calls that it's not Tofis Damav, the money doesn't get seized into the same Bisr. Israel, wherever it is, it stays also bana. And it doesn't transfer the Isser to the money. So if he sold, let's say, Orla, thank you. Maybe Chaim David, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay.
We just started the Mishnah.
Yeah, but we did it yesterday.
You need a drink.
Yeah, we did it yesterday. Already. So this is us.
Be good to your voice. Seems like you're struggling.
So if he sold something, that's under the Mishnah that if he sold Orla, let's say one of these things, he got money for it. So he wasn't supposed to. But once he got the money is not a savannah, therefore Mukadeshes. So the Gemara, the sort of Kiddushin is not here. Like that's partially, it's not with the Shabbat Fruta, so it's not good Kiddushin. But the Gemara goes at length to talk about each one that is a savannah. How do you know? For Orla, we said yesterday because it says Amaltam Orlasa. Yeah, just to point out that there is a Gemara in Pesachim that talks about, and also coming up on the page, that even though Yochal alone, would mean that you're not allowed to have a no. So here the Gemara doesn't talk about that. It says Amaltam Orlasa. That's a Gemara in Pesachim. Ask the Kasha, what do you have to have this pasuk for? Why can't you learn it out already from Lo Yochel? But here the Gemara says the pasuk is because Amaltam Orlasa. The next pasuk was Klaya Kera, and how do you know that? We said yesterday because it says Pentik Dash, and the Gemara Dash is Pentuk Kadesh. That it's a Russia that Tukad means to burn. The Shin stands for H, Tukadesh, and that means that it should be burnt. That means that it's as if it would be burnt, that it's not worth anything. If Rashi tries something else, maybe it's like Kodesh, but that didn't work. The Gemara slugged it up. We came back to Chizkiah. And now we'll start again from Shar Nisko. We did also a little bit, but we'll start again. Shar Nisko. So that's an ox that gored and killed, and you have to kill the ox. That's called the Shar Nisko. And it's also bana. So what wants to know, how do you know? How do you know that a Shar Nisko is also bana? Shar Nisko manai, the Tanya. Imash meshinam asakal yisakal lashor. Any yodesh and avela even avela sur bachila. Matamalama lo yochel es besoro. The pasuk says the ox that killed should be stoned, and also and you're not allowed to eat the meat. And the Gemara says it's partial. If you stoned it, so you didn't shecht it, even if it wouldn't have been a shor nisko. Stam would have been a shor that got killed. So you can't eat it because it's anyway. Also, it wasn't shechted properly. It's a treifa. It's a bela. So that's the Gemara's kasha. What do you have to have the person to say not to eat it? Meat. Of course you can't eat it. It was stoned. To tell you that even if you didn't stone it, it was a verdict that is high skila. And then somebody, the owner went ahead, whatever, somebody was interested, so he shechted it. So he didn't stone it. You can't stone it. Once it's already killed, it's killed. You didn't do a mitzvah. But you might think that not that he did shecht it, so maybe he's allowed to eat it also. That's why it has to say that you're not allowed to eat it. If you would have stoned it the way you're supposed to, then you don't need a process to say not allowed to eat it. Of course you can't eat it. It's an avela. But if you didn't listen to the Torah, and you did shecht it, you might think you're allowed to eat it, so it says you're not allowed to eat it. Which is really what our subject is. How do you know that a shor nisko is even also bana? It's no difference if you stoned it or you shechted it. Once the Gemara has a drasha that there's no difference, it's also anyway. So how do you know that it's also bana? It's also bana also. So the Gemara says a drasha bala shonaki. This is what we're looking for. That bala shonaki tells you that it's even also bana. And the Gemara says, how do you see from these words that it's also bana? Mei mashma. Some say my mashma, but I think I once read that it's more accurate to say may a mashma. From where is a? A means from where? My mashma.
What does the words exactly mean? Abalish or nuki?
So the pasuk on the pasuk is that if it was the first time offense, even though you killed the ox, but the owner doesn't get punished. That's the pasuk. Balish or nuki. Afterwards it says, but if he did it, then he did it already. It's the third time, fourth time. So then he has to pay kofar also. you don't kill. It says Ragamba love you must. So it says it really is chayv misa. The owner is also that he let his ox gore 3 times and kill. So now the owner is also chayv misa, but he can pay kofar. But here it's all about a time. So the owner is pater. That's a pasuk shah. But the Gemara is going to say more from this pasuk. Me'ei mashma. From where do you see in this pasuk that there's no that there's this or not?
With the word sense.
Which one?
Me'ei mashma.
From where's mashma? Shimon and Zoma. That's a regular ben Zoma. Zoma ben Nazar. Shimon ben Zoma. Omer kadam shom l'chavero. Yosef ploni nokem l'chasa ve'en lo behem anoah shel klum. In English also we say it's cleaned out. Cleaned out. Well, cleaned out means it doesn't have anything. So here the Rashi is going to be that the Bala Shor is cleaned out. What's he cleaned out from? He's cleaned out from the shore. Then he can't have any kind of ana. If it only would be also bachila and mutter bana, you wouldn't call him clean. The fact that it says it's cleaned out, that means it's also bana also. That was the end of the brisa. So the whole we got the answer. The answer to the question is because it says bala shanaki. That's how you know it's even also bana. The Gemara is the kasha. Who says it? But the Gemara is not really attacking the point about bala shanaki. It's really attacking this issa we said that it's also bana even if you shechted it. Ashar is supposed to be stoned. If you stoned it, then you're not allowed to eat it. The Gemara said it's rush to learn out that even if you shechted the ox, if you're supposed to be stoned, it's also bachila bana because it wouldn't have to tell you not allowed to eat it. It must be coming to tell you that even if you shechted it, also you're not allowed to eat it. And now the Gemara is questioning the validity of that rusha. Who tells you that the drush, the pasuk that says don't eat the meat, is going to tell you even if you shechted it after the verdict that you're not allowed to eat it? Like that was the drush of the Gemara. Maybe really allowed to eat it if you didn't stone it and you just shechted it. And the pasuk that says don't eat it, and the pasuk is coming to tell you after you did stone it, and the kasha back to the kasha, we're just getting leading up to the kasha. That was the kasha. That if it's talking about after you stoned it, you don't need a pasuk to say you're not allowed to eat it. Of course you can't eat it. It's an so you don't need a pasuk. But maybe for the Rabba or Rabba Laza, Dan Rabba or Rabba Laza, Kol Mokum Shenam Lo Yochal, Lo Sochal, Lo Sochlu, Echad Esu Achilu, Echad Esu Anoah, B'mashma. They put in the word B'mashma. Ad whenever it says don't eat it, any kind of form of not eating it, don't eat it. He shouldn't eat. Lo tochal, you shouldn't eat. Lo sochlu, you plural shouldn't eat. So when that kind of any kind of form of saying don't eat it also includes Israel. That inference that means to say by don't eat it also includes Israel. How does he know that? Because by the pasuk says that don't eat it. You may sell it to a goy or to a ger. So the fact that the pasuk has to go out of its way to say that you may sell it, what does it have to say for? If it just says don't eat it, why should I think you're not allowed to sell it? The fact that at one time it goes out of its way to say don't eat it, but you may sell it, that means that usually when I say don't eat it, don't do anything. See, if Avrohom says whenever it says don't eat it, it also includes this or not. So that's the most kasha. If that's the pshat, so then the whole drasha falls out. The whole drasha was, why does the pasuk have to say don't eat it? Surely after you did skili, you can't eat it. It's an avela. The one want to learn out that it's also even if you shechted it. But the most questioning, maybe no, maybe the pasuk is coming to tell you it's also by now. And really, if you shechted it, it's not also bachila. If you shechted it instead of sewing it, maybe it is mutter. The pasuk is talking about that you stoned it, and it has to tell you about yochel in order to tell you that you shouldn't have bana. Not that you shouldn't have bachila. You're right. After you stoned it, you surely don't need a pasuk to say you're not allowed to eat it, but you need a pasuk to say you're not allowed to have benefit. And Avrohom says that's what the word lo yochel means. So that's all kasha. Now the truth is that the Gemara brought in Avrohom in the back door. Really, the Gemara could have spoken straight to the point. How do you know Sasavana? We said because Bala Shanaki. I could have said you know Sasavana because Avrohom says the Yochel means Esrachil also. But the Gemara didn't present him in the front door. The Gemara brought him in from the back door. That we're in the middle of a drasha to say if it's Asr, if you didn't stone it, you only shechted it, and we said yes, it's Asr because you don't have to say La Yochel. And the Gemara is asking, Avrohom tells you if you want this or no. So maybe that's why it has to say. So Avrohom is in the room now. But he came in through the back door. I think the Gemara later on is going to bring him once he's here. Let's talk about him. That you don't need Bala Shanaki anymore. But that's the Gemara's kasha at this point. The Gemara's kasha is who says that it's takwa also if you did shecht it instead of stoning it. It's possible to adjust the camera here because I can't see exactly. Have the AC also. The Gemara answers. So the kasha is good. How do you know to say that it's us if you shechted it? Maybe it's not if you shechted it. It's only us if you stoned it. And what do you have to have that you're not allowed to eat it? To tell you that you're also not allowed to have benefit from it. The Gemara answers, It just means that if you're going to say, if the Torah says don't eat it, and that's when you learn out that you're not allowed to eat it. So then it doesn't only mean don't eat it, it also means don't have a no either. But here, you know that it's also bachila because you stoned it. If you want to say that, only talking about if you stoned it. So if you stoned it, you know you're not allowed to eat it. So that the pasuk should say lo yochal in order to tell you this or no, that's not mistaber. The pasuk wouldn't have expressed itself that way. It would have said don't have a no. The Isra we know already. Usually the Torah doesn't tell you in two separate stages that it's asa bachila asa bana. It says one word. If it wouldn't have said that one word lo yochal, you wouldn't have known anything. You would have thought you could have eaten it. So it says lo yochal, and that gives you two things. It tells you don't eat it, don't have a no. But here we know that it's asa bachila already. So all the Torah had to tell you is asa bana. So it wouldn't have used the word lo yochal, even though it's true that lo yochal means don't eat it, don't have a no. But here we know already that you're not allowed to eat it. You just have to add on to us don't have a no. So it shouldn't have said lo yochal. So it must be coming to tell you that I'll tell you it's bachila. That if you shechted it before you stoned it, it's also asa bachila. Yeah, just inside. When does Avrohom said that you can learn out from this from lo yochal, not to benefit from it, when you also learn out this rachila from the word lo yochal? But hacha is rachila masachal yisakal nafka. Here, you already know that you're not allowed to eat it.
Malo means not to.
Right? From the pasuk lo yochal. If it says by some isser, it says lo yochal. So then you learn out from the lo yochal not only isra achila, also isra ana. But over here, isra achila we know because sakal yisakal nafka. You learn out this isra achila because as you stoned it, so surely you can't eat it. It's in the vela. And the pasuk just wants to tell you this or no. It should not have expressed itself by saying don't eat it. We know you're not allowed to eat it. It should have said don't have ana. It's like a type of this or no. If the pasuk just wanted to add on that you're not allowed to have ana, it should have said don't benefit from it because Isra Achila we know anyway. Usually the pasuk throws in two in one. It tells you you're not allowed to eat it, which includes you're not allowed to benefit from it. But here we know that you're not allowed to eat it because it's already stoned. It must be coming to tell you only Isra ana. Then it should have said a different word. Inami no yeyachel, or it should have just said don't eat. Even if you want to say that don't eat is also good. Also the Gemara catches okay maybe, but espesaro lamali it wouldn't have said espesaro. Espesaro sounds like that the extra drasha. There's an extra word over here. It says sakol yisakel lashor v'lo yechel espesaro. It should have said sakol yisakel lashor v'lo yana, or sakol yisakel lashor v'lo yechel to learn out isra. But to say espesaro, that's the extra word. And the drush is going to be, so even if you treated it as regular meat, by shechting it, it's also wasa. So what did the Gemara learn out from all this? That even if you shechted a sarah on stone, it was supposed to be stoned, but you didn't listen to the Torah, and you slaughtered it, you might think that you detoured the Torah, you got around the law, and now that you're even allowed to eat it also. And no. So no, the pasuk says that you're not allowed to eat it even if you shechted it. Rabbi Avo was already in the room. The thing about lo yochal, you got in the back door, but we're going to come to him soon. This is still continuing the question if there's if you did shech the shar in this call before you stoned it, is it mutter? The Gemara said no, it's awesome. Rabbi Avo says whenever it says the word lo yochal or sochal, it also includes isser on it. But the Gemara just brought him in to ask Kasha that maybe that's what maybe there's no isser on the shar niskal if you shechted it and didn't stone it. And that's what the Gemara is dealing with still. The Gemara continues. Maskav Lamar Sutra. Mashiv is still asking a kasha. The Mexican skila. Maybe even if you're going to tell me that it is aser, if you shechted it, what was the kasha? What's the basic kasha over here? That if you stoned it, surely you don't need the first to say not allowed either. So if we say it's also even if you shechted it. The Gemara is saying trying to get out of that. Maybe even if you shechted it, we're saying that it's also is only if you did some kind of a skila, which would mean that you shechted it with a stone knife. But the tzor is as far as the Gemara goes, the tzor is a knife. In the pasuk, it could be that it means a sharp object. Just by Tzipora that it says that she took Fatikat Tzipora tzor, so just to make it easier, pshat doesn't mean she took a stone. First of all, they say that any sharp object is called a tzor. But the Gemara calls it tzor, like a tzor means a rock. So if so, what?
A rock.
The bottom.
Oh, Badak, to check.
But like he checked that it shouldn't have any pagima. He checked it that it should be. He checked it that it should not have any niche.
Bedikas Chamer.
Bedika sakin. There's bedika sakin. So maybe only if we're giving in a little bit. That if you shechted it before you stoned it, maybe taka is asa. We're giving in because you have extra pasuk over here. But maybe as long as there was some kind of a skila, which means by a stone. So kol yisakol, you just stone it. Maybe if you shechted it with a stone knife, that's also called stoning it. You didn't throw the stone, you cut with the stone. So you did shchita. But it's a little bit kind of a skila. Maybe that's when it's asa. Abba shachti b'sakin lo. But if you use the regular metal knife, maybe it's not going to be asa. You took the sharnisko, which is supposed to be stone, and you shechted it with a metal knife. Maybe it's mutter. Only if you shechted it with a stone knife is it asa. But the more objects to that, midi sakin barais exit doesn't say in the Torah knife. It doesn't say anything about a knife. It doesn't say the word knife. If it would say a knife, you could say that it means a metal knife. Stam knife is metal, but it doesn't say the word knife. It just says v'savachta kasher sivisicha. It doesn't say anything about a knife. Of course, we know Torah Shabbat you have to have a knife, but it doesn't say the word knife. And also, Tanya, a kol shochin, bein b'tzor. I think it's a Mishnah. Bein b'tzor, bein b'schuchas, bein b'trum shalpana. You're allowed to use a knife, a stone knife. You're allowed to use a glass knife. You're allowed to use even a reed, a sharp reed, as long as it's smooth and it cuts. So there's no reason to say that a stone knife is considered skila. A stone knife is considered shkita. So we came to the maskana that the price is true, that even if you shechted it with a regular metal knife, it's also asa. So Sharon is supposed to be stoned, and if you stoned it, surely it's asa b'achila. It's even asa b'ana. And also, even if you shechted it before, instead of stoning it, it's also asa b'achila, asa b'ana. But now, I think at this point, maybe I'm not 100% correct, but I think that the Gemara now is bringing in a bavo. You met bavo in the middle of the Shaka Batalia because you wanted to get out of the Isser of Sharon Niskal if you shechted it before the skila. But the Maisi, you brought in a bavo. Bavo says, whenever it says lo yochal, it's Isra also. So let's go back. We don't have to have Balashonaki. We highlighted Balashonaki over here. How do you know Isra? No, Balashonaki. But you don't need it. It says, Sakoli Sekil Asho, below Yechel Espisaro. And lo Yechel means Isra also. Nice, straightforward kasha. But you don't need Balashonaki. Hashta, the Nafkalan Isra Chila, Isra no, Tavayim below Yechel. Hi, Balashonaki, my Yosef. We don't need it, Balashonaki. The Gemara is retracting. We don't need Balashonaki. Once we found out that says that the word Lo Yechel means Isra Chila, Lo Yechel. The truth is, there's a big machlokes in Pesachim that there's a few blot over there at the beginning of the second parak. Chizkiah and Avrohom goes on a couple of daf. People who learned it in high school, like took many months. That's it. So over there, Chizkiah holds that Lo Yochel argues that Lo Yochal, Lo Sochlu doesn't mean Isra. It only means Isra Achila. But he also agrees that Lo Yochel different than Lo Yochal. Lo Yochal means don't you should not eat. You should not eat. But when it says Lo Yochel that it should not be eaten, if the Torah expresses that it should not be eaten, then Chizkiah also agrees that it's Isra also. So in our Gemara it says, so Kol Yisrael Hashem, Lo Yochel Espisaro. So the Gemara is asking about everybody. Everybody should say that's enough. So the Gemara retracts. So I think that's what's happening over here, that the Gemara retracts, and you don't need Balashonaki. And it's going to be for the word Lo Yochel. That's the new pasuk, and we're going to say that Baal Hashanaki is not for this.
Not what?
Where's the end of this question?
First, the nafkalon is Rachil Lisana Taban Lo Yechel. Hi Baal Hashanaki Lamayasa. Why do you need the pasuk Baal Hashanaki? Before we used it, we thought you have to have that in order to tell you Isra no, but now we don't need it anymore. I'm going to erase the highlighting over here because now it comes out that we don't need that. More says you don't need this anymore.
So it's a different pshat from
the way that you know that you're not allowed to be nana from a shore,
Right,
and
it's
it's
not
not
from
because it says lo yechel.
So what do we do, Balashonaki?
So not a kasha, but Baal Shanaki. So this is going to be it's going to be parentheses kind of thing. What do you do now with Baal Shanaki? We finished our subject.
Right.
Our subject was how do you know that Sharon is called Zasavano? We thought Baal Shanaki. Now the Gemara says no, it's lo yechel. So but now we want to know what do you do with the Baal Shanaki? It's not our business really. I mean, it's not our subject, but we're interested.
Yeah.
Hi Baal Shanaki, the answer is no. So to say that even the hide is also us. You might think that only the meat is us. You might think that the pasuk says don't eat the meat. The meat should not be eaten. Basara yosef, v'ora mutter. You might think that only the meat is also. So it has to say Allah Sharnaki that is cleaned out. He's cleaned out. He doesn't even have the hide. The hide is also. He can't use the hide for whatever belt, shoes. So even the skin, the ore is also also. The Gemara says there are others that use the word Bala Shanaki for something else. The Gemara is a little bit not the regular way the Gemara would say. There are those that have a different drasha. That is another possibility of what to do with Bala Shanaki, to tell you that he's not Chai Chatzi Kofer. That means, what does it say in the Torah? That if it was already a muad, the shore gored many times, killed many people. So then already on the fourth time, he pays Kofer. Bala Shor, you must. It says the first 3 times that he killed the Shor, and Bala Shor Naki, he's innocent. But if it was a muad, so then you must. That the owners also put to death. Then the pasuk says right away, you don't have to put him to death. In Kofer, you shall suffer. I'm not sure if I'm saying the right words in the pasuk, but there's such a thing as Kofer. So now you might think, well, okay, we know usually that a muad pays nezek shalem when it damages. A muad pays nezek shalem, and a tam pays chatzim nezek. So you might think that by killing, when the shor kills, so it's only chayiv Kofer on the 4th time, but maybe the tam is also going to pay chatzi Kofer. Maybe it pays chatzi Kofer. You assess how much the dead man was worth for us late. And if he's a muad, you pay the whole value. And if it's a tam, maybe pay half the value. So the person says Bala Shanoki, that is not even chayiv chatzi Kofer. There's another point about the
So
Meiv.
it's 3 times.
Then he pays the full Kofer. And there's also an issue about the Meiv Lados, that it says that if a what does it say the Meiv Lados? Meiv Lados talks about a man who accidentally pushed a pregnant woman. He didn't mean to hurt her, but he was fighting with somebody else. But he pushed her, and she had a miscarriage. So he has to pay Meiv Lados. Does the shor have to pay for the Meiv Lados? If a shor would have pushed a woman, is the achid to pay for the Meiv Lados? So this person is going to say no. That's going to say, it says Bala Shanaki, there's a Torah of the Meiv Lados. So if that's true, so you have use for the person of Bala Shanaki ready. What do you do with it? So Hana Solomon, I'm sorry, how are you going to know Hana Solomon? So really, without saying it, the Gemara didn't say it's straight, but the Gemara said, what do you do with the pasuk Bala Shanaki? So we have a couple of answers. One answer is Oro. One answer is going to be Chatzi Kofer, that did not chayiv Chatzi Kofer. And another version is going to be that did not chayiv Meiv Lados. And the more wants to know between these people themselves, so how do they know that you're not allowed to use the or either? If you say the pasuk Bala Shanaki is coming to tell you that you're not chayiv Chatzi Kofer, you're not chayiv Meiv Lados, how do you know? How is he going to say that that you're not allowed to benefit from the skin either? It says lo yechel es besoro. The word es is can to tell you not only the basar, it's also even the es besoro, even the thing which is secondary to the meat, even the skin also. The other one says you don't have to have a pasuk to say, or how come he doesn't learn it out from es besoro? The word is extra. The es lo dorish. He doesn't take any place in the Torah to say that you have to word out from the word es, and that's a famous machlokes. The yadash from the word es is es considered an extra word. There's no real translation for the word es in English.
Which pasuk is this? This isn't that same pasuk.
It's the same pasuk. Lo yechel es
It says
besoro.
es ish, es ish.
What does it say?
Ki yigav shor es ish o es isha.
That the Gemara's not talking about. The end of the pasuk where it says, "Lo yechel es
Oh,
besoro."
there it is.
That's what we're talking about. But the truth is that the one who darshans es has to explain all the es in the whole Torah. Es ish, es isha. It's gonna have to explain everything. Gracious bar lakim, es hashemayim, es haros. Every es you can have to explain. And this is the famous drasha Kiddushin. Shimon Amsoni, Ramila Nachmia Amsoni. I'm not sure if Amson is a name of a place or a family, but Shimon Amsoni, something the Chemia Amsoni. I don't know if we have any place besides this drasha. This is the famous drasha. Hayadorish Kolasin Shivatorah.
Oh, that's famous.
This is it. This is it. They dash in every yes. Every yes has something to be marba. He came to one pasuk. Where's the pasuk, by the way? To see how far he got. He did. No, that he had a shot. He had a shot in the Esther Shemayim Vesoritz. He had a shot in Bereshis, Shmos, Yikra, Midbar, everything he had a shot. He came to Dvarim and Perik Bob. He was stumped.
So like we pay at hundreds to them, maybe even thousands.
Thousands from him.
And so you see his emes.
Right. So they say that his amazing thing that's what happened over here. He had a yeshiva, Rabbi Miller, dramatized. He had a yeshiva fest. The big yeshiva. He had everything in the yeshiva, everything that Darshan is. Then he came to this pasuk. He said Pirish. He said I'm wrong. Everything's wrong. Close the yeshiva. The whole thing was a mistake. He gave me to me the chachamim and Darshan. Yes, they're all wrong.
We spent years.
Yeah. There's a whole. It's amazing.
He gave back all the money to the donors.
Good.
I think more continues. I'm a little Tamida of Rebbe. The lesson said the Rashi Matel. What's going to be all the other essence? Means he's saying if you say this one it has no revoice, so this is not only this one you don't know. He's saying that they're all wrong. That the S is not supposed to be darshan, and that's what the Gemara says on the top line. He holds like Shimon and Soni Eslo Dorish. The Gemara's darshaning over here that says like Chelas Misarov. He's from the school of Shimon and Soni that was Chosebo, and they said no, S is not a drasha. Rebbe, the relationship with what's going to be with all the Rushes, he said. Just like I got schar for darshaning because I thought that was the right thing. I get schar for it. It's not like he doesn't get schar in Shemai. Could be the donors also trying to take it back because he did what he thought, and he gets schar for that. They have you schar in Olamaz also that they should be supported. The same way, the same way I got schar for the drushes that I made. I'm also going to get schar for abstaining, for going back, for saying no. I'm saying I'm wrong, and I'm chosabo. I say all that I'm wrong. So that's what the Tana over here holds. You don't darshan es, and he doesn't have to darshan es, so he has to have a pasuk to say that the or. He wasn't Bala Shanaki. He couldn't darshan it from the pasuk below Yechel es b'sarov because he holds like Shimon and Soni that you don't darshan es. But Rabbi Kiva does darshan es. And Rabbi Kiva v'limei as Hashem l'kechat hira. You know what? The Rabbis Tamid Chachamim. What's called secondary to Hashem in this sense? Of course, nothing secondary to Hashem, but it means Tamid Chachamim that they represent Hashem. So the same way you have Yiras Hashem, you're also supposed to have Yiras Tamid Chachamim.
They say that the only way Rabbi Akiva could have said this was because he was willing to give up all of the S's because he didn't know this once.
Once he saw, that's a word. Once he saw Shimon and Soni, such an amazing person that he was able to say all his Torah was wrong, so he said,
There must be. There's got to be an answer.
They're saying a little different. That's such a Talmud Chacham that is already so harsh that we could say he's supposed to have year of such a midah Chachamim also. But that's a word. That's a word.
What's wrong? It's a nice word, no?
It's a nice word. It's not a vertical. It's a word.
You Rabbi heard this word.
How does he remind it?
Very nice.
Good luck.
Didn't darshan all the S's.
Right at the end he didn't. He was chosable. But keep it fixed. Maybe he didn't agree.
No, why didn't
maybe
he? Maybe he did agree.
The Gemara says Eslo Dorish. The Gemara says saying this mandama Eslo Dorish.
Oh, also even add them to his godless. Even though he had a Rabbi Kiva that had a way, but he didn't hold the 100% glad.
Wasn't the same.
Or maybe they were in
That's
the
the last
same
thing.
generation.
But he would have once if he would have heard Rabbi Kiva, then maybe he would have agreed to him also. But the Gemara is still making this mandama Eslo Dorish. The Gemara is asking a kasha that what do you have to have a pasuk? Yeah, the Gemara. Right, the Gemara is asking kasha by us. What do you do with the pasuk S? You're the Hashaning Balashanaki to tell you, or there's a word S pesova. What's wrong with that? And the Gemara just answers, he doesn't know the best. That means the Gemara considers it also a legal maskana that you don't hold the best. That's what it sounds like. And the Gemara attributes it to Shimon and Soni.
The whole thing is the price.
The whole, but
Two dots.
no, this is the Gemara going back and forth.
The price says two dots on the dollar.
No, the Brisa on the top line. Kiddushin. This Brisa starts here, it starts here until Rabbi Kiva.
Until the end of it.
Till then, right? All this is a Brisa. That's the side point. It's not our subject, but once we're here, when it says he's supposed to have Yiras Hashem, the whole Torah says Yiras Hashem. Does it mean fear of punishment, or does it mean fear of Hashem's or of Hashem? Yes, Aromas. So Yiras Hashem,
Can I give a third thing?
What?
Maybe both.
Maybe both. But I just want to prove that Es Hashem L'Kechat Tira, the Rabbis Tamid Chachamim doesn't mean Yiras Ha'onesh. It doesn't mean Yiras Ha'onesh.
You could be Deichel because you have the eyes in your gals.
But that doesn't seem. It could be. Okay.
You're saying it can't mean that we fear Talmidei Chachamim?
Because of they might punish us.
Huh?
We don't fear Talmidei Chachamim because they punish. That doesn't seem to be the simple truth. Maybe he's supposed to be ordered. We're supposed to have reverence for them. So you see that the Rabbi Kiva said that the Tira is not talking about the Yiras Ha'onesh.
Maybe that was my flexibility.
Okay. But quite a number of sukkahs, I think that we can prove that. When the Torah says Yira, the Ramchal goes like
No,
that.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The Rambam does learn that a lot of time when it says fear of Hashem, it means Yiras Onish. Even though the Rambam says he's supposed to have Yiras Onish, he says that Yiras Onish is very basic, low madrega. He says you have to go higher than that. But he does learn that the mitzvah of Hashem Tira is a Yiras Onish. But this can Ramchal goes in the Torah, it always means, I think, maybe there's sometimes also it's going to be Yiras Onish, but he says you have to go higher. The person has to go to not just Yiras Onish. Also, there's a Havchana that if someone is just scared of the Onish, but doesn't care about Hashem, he doesn't look at Hashem as the one who's in power. He just has dealings with the Onish. The Onish doesn't care about anything. So then it's Chisaron. It's not a good thing. Yiras Onish also has to be some kind of a Roman that Hashem is the one who's in charge. He's the one who gives Schar and Onish. But if he only relates to the Onish itself and not to the source, so then it's a Chisaron. It's not good, even for women and children. What we do, I think that we came out that how do you know Shar Nisko? From Lo even though the Gemara started off with Bala Sharnaki, I think it comes out to be from Lo Yeyacha. The Gemara didn't present it that way. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant. The Gemara just ordered Rabbi Bo from a different kasha, and then we said, oh, now we know what do you have to have Bala Sharnaki for? So it does seem like the Gemara is rejecting what we said before Bala Sharnaki. The real Rosh is going to be Lo Yeyacha. So we have already Orla, Klai Keren, and Sharnisko. And now we go further on the list. It says Egla Rufa. Egla Rufa, again, we said if somebody was found murdered that you don't know who did it. So the city, the closest city, they measure the closest city, is supposed to bring the Egla Rufa, and they take an Egla as a cap, and they chop off its head. A Rufa means from the back. They chop off its head, and that is Asavana.
And where do you measure from?
What?
Where do you measure
From
Boa, heart?
yeah, okay, that's a Gemara. That's a Mishnah. My focus
It's
maybe.
not this
No,
one.
that's the thing. How do you measure it? But here we're talking about the Maisi bring Egla Rufa. So the Egla Rufa is Asabana. The Gemara is going to say that even when it's alive, not only after you shechted it. Yesterday the question came up, even before you killed it. Even before you killed it.
What, the egel, one who, when you designate an egel,
So we'll see. It doesn't mean designation. We're going to see in a second. The Gemara is going to talk about it. Not even though this thing is only 2 lines, and then it goes into Purim Mitzvah. But the Gemara is going to come back and it's going to say in a couple of lines that Egla Rufa is also even when it's alive, but not at the time that you bought it and designated it. The Gemara is going to say when you take it to the Nachalesa, when you're taking it to the place where you're going to shecht it, they're going to kill it.
once you start taking.
When you read das, we'll see the words. You read das or Nachalesa. But that's the point that yesterday I might have said a mistake. The question came up if it's even from its life. I talked about the meat after you killed it, that's Asavana, but the truth is going to be even when it's alive also. Menovan, how do you know that it's Asavana? It talks about the kapara, even though it's not a korban. Egluv is not a korban. It's not in the Beis Hamikdash, it's not shchita, it's not a korban at all. But it does say the word kapara, like it says, kaper lamcha Yisrael, Rashi over here, kaper lamcha Yisrael Hashem, that the people say, whoever says it, there's a kingdom, they say, or the Kohen, that atone for your people. So Kabbalah atone, and here it says it's also atone. So it has some kind of a similarity to Kabbalah, just like Kachim, so therefore it's also Asavana. That's how you know. So we'll highlight that also. Kapara. It doesn't say the word kapara, it says kapar. So that's
There, right?
kapar, right? That should be supposed to go over here. Kapar. Kapar lam Yisrael. It's also not a korban. It's also not a korban.
Right.
The Torah doesn't talk about it over here. Is it Lotebrana? It doesn't talk about it over here. It doesn't say it. And our Mishnah didn't have that case. What you're talking about, maybe since it also atones, maybe it also is going to be Asubana. Okay, it doesn't talk about it over here. Tzipor Mitzorah. So this was the Mitzorah, that is the Tzaras went away, and in the Tara process it brings 2 birds, like it says in the beginning of Parshas Mitzorah, and shechts one, and Almayim Chayim, and it also takes a live bird, Ezov Shnit Eres, Ezov Shnit Alas, with the live bird, dips it into the blood of the dead bird, and also the Mayim Chayim, and he sprinkles it on the person, on the person. This is not done the Beis Hamikdash.
Dipping it in the water is after it's dead, right?
Right.
The-
Dipping the live bird together
You
with the
dip the live bird,
and the eight zeros of shnitolas.
and then
No, you have a live bird and a dead bird. Let's look at the parsha for a second, if that's if everyone would like to. Might as well see the beginning of Parshas Mitzvah.
oh, the one that you dip is the one that you're going to send away.
The one that you dip, you send away.
And the devil, what happens to the devil?
You shechted it,
And then
and the blood comes out, and you dip the live bird into that bird, into that blood.
into that blood.
Let's look at Parshas Mitzvah. I'll try to get it on the screen. I think that it doesn't go. I think I have to close this in order to get it on again. Let's find Parshas Mitzvah. Probably about Parshas, I don't know, Tezvav or something like that. Where's it going to be? A little bit earlier. By that, let's look on the screen. It's nothing to do with the Gemara. Just Levi Yaakov wanted to know the story of the Tziporim. Here it says, this is the laws of the Mitzvah on the day that it becomes Torah, in order to purify him, and the nega went away. He should be brought to the Kohen. The Kohen goes out, the Mitzvah is out of the Machna, he can't come in. So the Kohen goes out to check him, and the Kohen sees that the nega went away. So the Kohen should come in, and they should take for the purified one, mitaher, the one who wants to become Torah, 2 live birds, two live kosher birds, and also erez branch and scarlet thread and a hyssop grass. And the Kohen commands that they should shech one of the birds to a kli cheres mayim chayim, to an earthenware kli that has also mayim chayim in it, with water from a live source from a spring, and the live bird he should take, and the eitzeres shnitolas and the ezo, and he should dip them, and also the live bird in the blood of the shechted bird together with the mayim chayim. Then he sprinkles it on. He sprinkles that whole thing. Yeah.
Would be from
From a
spring.
Spring, yeah.
Yeah.
So he has a kli cheres with the mayim chayim and blood of the dead of the shechted bird, and he takes a live bird together with the 8 zeros of shnitolas, and he dips it into the blood and water, and then he sprinkles it with the live. He's holding the live bird with the other 3 ingredients, and he sprinkles it. He sprinkles 7 times.
Onto the person.
Onto the
or just
person.
Towards him.
Which is towards him, meaning
On him or towards him? Just to hit him?
I think on him. Right, I think so.
Essentially,
And then he says he should send the live bird away. Then he sends away the live bird. And then this is not the whole process. This is just to get him into the machna. Then he comes into the machna, and there's a 7-day wait, and then he has to shave all his hair, and then there's another shaving, and then there's karbanis. It's a big process till the Mitzvah becomes Torah. But this is right.
I got confused. I was thinking of Mechatas.
Mechat show us the touch. Okay, so that's the parsha about the state Tziporim. So it says in the Mishnah.
So this bloody bird gets.
Yeah, he said it has
to
blood.
wash him
Send
off.
it.
Send away the bloody bird,
The live bird.
the live bird.
You want to also point out that is blood. That is bloody also.
It's really interesting that you
It's
use
It's just a little bit of blood and more.
It's a little bit of, yeah.
usually it's called birds chayot.
And
Why is it interesting?
I don't know, I never thought chayot was shaykh to birds. I always thought chayots were.
Chayot means alive.
I always
2
thought
live birds.
It was like four legged.
That's a chaya. That's a chaya. But this being alive is also called chaya.
So the says Sipor and Sarah are asabana.
this Tzipore,
So that's the
Both of
Mishnah.
them.
So that's the question. The Mishnah says Sipor and Sarah sounds like plural. Sounds like both of them are asabana. The Gemara is going to say at the end that when you send it away, it's mutter. We'll see more details as we go along. So for our purposes, let's talk about the dead one, and we'll talk about the live one also eventually.
and the Asav and all that stuff. It
Doesn't
doesn't-
say it's asabana. Manolan, how do you know that the Tziporim is how do you know that's asabana? The Tana of Rabbi Shmuel. Nema machshir machaper b'mifnim. V'nema machshir machaper b'chutz. B'fnim means in the base of mikdash. B'chutz means outside the base of mikdash. And a machshir means something that's not the kapara, but it's something which what's a good word? Machshir, something which
To make it fitting.
to make it fitting, and something which atones. And we find such a set of things inside the base of Mikdash. We also find the same another set, not the same one. We also find the Machshir Mechaper outside the base of Mikdash. So Rashi tells us all of the translations. Rashi says Machshir Bifnim is a korban Asham Etzorah. Asham Etzorah, I don't know, I'm not sure how Rashi knows all that. I'm not sure how he figured it out. I don't know. But Machshir Bifnim means a korban Asham of the Metzorah. Machshir Bifnim means other korbanos. Mechaper Bifnim, kol korbanos. Machshir Bifnim is called Asham Etzorah, that it makes him able to get out of his tumah. That's why it's called a Machshir. Mechaper means that it atones. Other korbanos is called Mechaper. Machshir b'chutz is Tzipor Mitzorah. In our case, so Tzipor Mitzorah is called Machshir b'chutz. What's Machshir about it? Rashi says because it's made outside the Machna, and it allows him to come in. It makes him fitting to come into the Machna. So, and the Mechaper b'chutz is going to be Eglah Rufa.
The Mechaper b'chutz. Was it all the tones from outside? Is the okay.
Right. And the Gemara is going to make a kind of a drasha. The answer is going to be learn out from Eglah Rufa. What the Gemara is trying to do is to say, how do you know Tzipor Mitzorah Zasa? The answer is going to be a learn out from Eglah Rufa. But how can you learn from Eglah Rufa? There's no Gzer Shava, there's no Hekish. So on what basis are you going to learn out that Tzipor Mitzorah is the same thing as Eglah Rufa? So he says because you find a Machshir, which is Tzipor Mitzorah, and Machshir Bifnim is going to be Asham Mitzorah. Mechaper Bifnim is other Kabbanas. Machshir B'chutz is going to be Tzipor Mitzorah. And Mechaper B'chutz is going to be the Eglah Rufa, like we just said a second ago, it's called a Mechaper. Machshir Mechaper, Amur Bifnim, Asabo Machshir Kim Mechaper. Just like in the base of Mikdash, when there's no difference between a Machshir and a Mechaper, just like the Mechaper, whatever the din of all the Kabbanas are, so too is the din of Asham Mitzorah, even though it's only called a Machshir, but it has the same din as a Mechaper. Mechaper, only B'chutz, also Machshir Kim Mechaper. Just so too. There's no difference between a Machshir and a Mechaper. So we do find that a Mechaper, which is Eglah Rufa, it is also Bana, as the drasha before said, because it says Kapara Kikot. So too, the Machshir is the same thing, and nothing to do with each other. Just that you see that the Machshir is the same thing as the Mechaper, and therefore the Tzipor and Mitzorah are also awesome. That seems to be the end of that sugya. I mean,
What does it mean? This again?
that it's going to be Asar Bana. That's our subject. How do you know that Tzipor and Mitzorah is Asar? And the answer is going to be from Eglah Rufa. The Gemara didn't spell it out, but Rashi fills in all the blank spaces. Who's who over here? So you learn it out from Eglah Rufa. So where should I write that? What should I highlight over here? From Machshir Kim Mechaper, which means Eglah Rufa. Machshir is the case of Tzipor and Mitzorah. It's not a pasuk over here, but Mechaper is the Eglah Rufa, and Machshir is the Tzipor and Mitzorah, and you learn out one from the other. Just like the Mechaper is Asabana, the Eglah Rufa is Asabana, so too, that Tzipor and Mitzorah also Asabana. Okay, seem to be happy at this point. We figured out how you know that the Tzipor and Mitzorah are Asabana. The Gemara starts, Itma. Tzipor and Mitzorah, this seems to be a side subject. We'll come back, maybe it's not such a side subject, but we'll try as starting off with a side subject. Itma. Tzipor and Mitzorah me'ema sayasumim. When did they become us? We said Asabana. When did it become Asabana? We have two words to talk about. The one you're going to shech and the one that you're not going to shech. When you shech. Rashi says that only when you shech means the one that you shechted, that's when it becomes asa. Before you shechted it, it's not asa. And the other one, you never shechted, so it never becomes asa. That's what Rashi seems to say. Let's point out that Rashi over here. The one that you're going to send away, tak is mutter, never became asa. The shechita is what asa is. Taisa says a little different. Before Lev Yaakov said that it says in the Mishnah Tzipor and Mitzorah. So I saw that Taisa seems to say like that. Taisa says, Misha Shchita, Pirush Mishulachas Nami Teyasa Mishachita Schaveta. Ada Shiluach. The one is the one you send away.
Oh, the one you
the
send
Shilach. So Taisa says, not like Rashi. Rashi says that if the Shchita says it, so the Mishulachas never was shechted.
He's
So that's
talking about
mutter.
Rabbi Yochanan.
Yes, that's what the Masla Shashkita.
Yeah,
And Rashi says that according to Rabbi Yochanan, so the Mishalachas never zasen because he never shechted it. But Tosis says that according to Rabbi Yochanan, from the time that he shechted the shechted one, so the Mishalachas also becomes zaser. And but it does become mutter. It says later on that when you send it away, out of Shiluach, when you send it away, then it becomes mutter. So Rashi Tosis learns that both of them became maser. When you shechted one, both of them became maser, and then when you send away the live one, that's when it becomes mutter. Don't look like Rashi. That says that the Mishalachas never becomes asa. But Tana Tziporim Mitzorah, the Mashmat right. That says in the Mishnah, Tziporim Mitzorah asa. So it says that the fact that it's plural means both of them asa. So it's probably not going to be too much talked about in the rest of the Gemara, because it also would have been more preferish than Tosis is making it. Rashi learns that according to this drasha that Mishalachas never became asa, and Tosis says it became asa when you shechted one, the other one also becomes, both of them become asa, and when you send away one of them, that's when it becomes mutter.
It's a very short amount of time.
From the time that you shechted
From Shechita.
from the shechita, and then you sprinkle it, and then you send it away. Okay. So, well,
Is a little easier.
okay, Rabbi Yochanan Misha Shechita, but no Rashi, just for convenience, that the when you shechted it, that's when it becomes asa. The shlakishama Misha Slakicha. From the time that you take it, which will mean you're buying it to designate it to become this for that purpose of Taras and Mitzorah, that's when it becomes asa.
But according to Rashi, wouldn't that mean both of them? You're taking both of them, so it seems like their argument could be Rabbi Yochanan says only one, and Reish Lakish says both.
Yeah, as Rashi says like here. Mishas Lakicha Mitzorah Shtein. When you buy it, and Taisa says that both that according to Shlokish also both of them became mutter, but from the
But
shechita,
when you send it away,
then it becomes mutter. So Rashi also says according to him when you send it away it becomes mutter. Everybody holds when you send it away it becomes mutter. Rashi says according to Rabbi Yochanan that it never became mutter in the first place. I don't know if we have to juggle it the whole time. Maybe. So for which one would you prefer? Anybody have any preference to Rashi or Tosfos? Tosfos, okay. So Rabbi Yochanan says that both become Maser from Shashkita, but Shloka say both become Maser from Lakicha. And the Mishalachas, of course, becomes mutter when you send it away. And the Gemara explains the source of each one. Rabbi Yochanan Shashkita, Shchita the Asrala. The Shchita is what answers it. Is that a reason? I'm not sure.
What does it mean that it means the asra?
That's what prohibits it. The shechita prohibits it. Rashi, Rashi doesn't explain. It's supposed to be a reason. It's supposed to be a reasoning. It's supposed to be a svara. The reason why
Because it's still
shechita
just a bird until it's shifted.
here I would be a little bit leaning towards Rashi. That according to Rashi, only the shechita is asa. So the shechita, only the one that's shechita is asa. So what asa is it? What's the difference between the two birds? This one was shechted. This one was not shechted. So the time of the shechita, it was asa. But according to Taisus, both of them are asa. So I'm not sure what the reason of Rabbi Yochanan is. Shashchita with Asrala. How do you know? How do you know? But okay, that's Rabbi Yochanan's reason. You know why? Because Meg Levufa Nafka. Everybody before everybody seemed to say only one source. How do you know that the Purim was us in the first place? Because you learned that from Egla Rufa, but that was the first Gemara. If that's the source, so then Egla Rufa is also Asa Michaim. The Gemara didn't tell us before. I got it from here. That the Egla Rufa is not only Asa after from the Arifa, the Egla Rufa is Asa even when it's alive. So if you're learning out,
What Mechaim means what?
When it's still alive, from lifetime, even when it's alive.
From when it was born?
No, during lifetime.
When it's still
When it's still
When you
alive.
send it away.
Egla Rufa?
When you take it.
Even before you killed it, even before you did Arifa.
But when you took it.
So you know more because we don't know it yet. But you're right. I didn't know that yet. I shouldn't have said it.
Mechaim sounds like from when it was born.
No. How can it be from when it's born? Every calf is born. How do you know?
Still alive, and I should just hold on.
Right. Not you don't have to hold on too long. You don't have to hold your breath because it's gonna happen right away. But because you learn since you're learning out Sipar Masos, you learn from Egla Rufa, so therefore it's the same as Egla Rufa, not only after you killed it. My Egla Rufa Mechaim, just like Egla Rufa is also even while it's still alive. Sipar Masora Mechaim. So that's the source. If that's where you're learning it out from, so Sipar Masora also should be also even before you shechted it. Now the Gemara says, how do you, and then maybe put in parentheses, this is not our subject too much, but Egla Rufa Gufa Me'emasai, from when does Egla Rufa become Asa? This calf that you're going to kill, he's saying it's not only also when you did the Arifa, when you killed it, even before. From when? I heard the time, but I forgot.
What is Gavul?
Gavul means a boundary, the limit, how far back,
Well, boundary of when it's.
when it become us. I heard it, but I forgot. But Nazben Chavaya Loma, Yividasa L'Nachal Esan Hiosata.
It's interesting. Why do you say Nazmish? Nazkir.
What?
They didn't remind him.
Nazben, that means that they said.
So you didn't remind him, they just told him, they explained it over?
I think
Well,
that
maybe
they,
I'm just thinking out loud. I asked the question.
They
They
guessed it.
didn't tell him directly. They reminded, it came out for something else and that reminded him.
I don't know. I think that it could be that this is what they took. The way
No, it doesn't
Nasa
mean
said,
they
they
took.
took. I think what it means like Nasabitza. The word literally remind me that they took. That means that they figured that this is what it is. When they take it down to Nachal Esan is a place where you're supposed to do the Arifa. What does it mean exactly, Nachal Esan? Some say that it means a hard ground. The Nachal, the Chorid is right. There's a question what the word Nachal means. Sometimes it means water, a river, but not always. Sometimes the Nachal doesn't mean, that means that, what? A dried up, right? A valley. Like you find Bahira Shebas, Masocha Nachal, talks about a city inside the Nachal. There's no city inside a river. So it just means like any kind of a valley is called a Nachal. So as Machlokes Rishonim, some say Nachal Esan means a place where there's a strong water, strong rush. Some say no water. It's just a hard land. But anyway, that's what the pasuk says. You're supposed to take the Egla Rufa to a Nachal Esan. When you take it down to the Nachal Esan, that's when it becomes us. Maybe before said when you start taking it, when you get there, I'm not sure. But
Well, you're data.
Yividasa, taking it down to the Nachal Esan.
I think taking it down could be when they start walking.
Could be when they get there. That's cool. I'm not sure. I don't know. But the more is now based on this, we just learned that the Nachal, that the Egla Rufa becomes us from.
You
Or when somebody
start taking-
goes
Only
down,
when they get to the
when
Nachal
somebody
Esan.
goes down to the, did they go down when they got on the taxi to the airport or when they stepped down?
I hear both
Good
sides.
question.
So I don't know. But the Gemara is continuing that. If you say that, what did Rosh Lakish say? That the reason why that Sipori Mitzvah is also Mechayim is because he learns that from Egla Rufa. But Egla Rufa is not from the time that you bought it, that you designated it. It's only from the time you does the Nachal Esan. So how can I learn out that the Sipori Mitzvah become also from the time that you took it? Ima Egla Rufa Mishas Lakicha Lo Mitzvah. Egla Rufa doesn't become also from the time that you designated it. Only you does the Nachal Esan. Af Sipori Mitzvah Nami B'Shas Lakicha Lo Mitzvah. Kashan Rosh Lakish himself. How could I say that the source that I say that a source Shas Lakicha is because you learn out from Egla Rufa. Egla Rufa itself doesn't become us so early. The Gemara says no comparison. Hachiyash said there's no comparison. Hasam is like the Volachmina over there. There's some kind of a middle stage. Getting to the Nachal Esan or taking it down to on the way to the Nachal Esan, that's a something. There's not a kind of a time zone that you could talk about. But Hacham is like Volachmina. There is no other time. There's nothing. The Tzipor Mitzvah has no issue of getting to a certain place. It just talks about the person that doesn't talk about it. It just talks about you should take. The person talks by the Tziva Kohen, the Lakhu, Mitaher, State Tzipor. It just says talk. It just talks about getting it. It doesn't talk about going to the Mitzvah or anything like that. So there is no other time zone that the Torah refers to that could be. So we learn from Egla Rufa that it's not only from the time that you killed it, even before, and how much. So there's no other choice from the time that you took it. So this is.
Excuse me, was this a kasha on Reish Lakish?
It was all the Lakish explaining himself. You know, you could say it's a
Or he's
kasha.
explaining.
He's explaining. His
that
explanation
even
was
though there could be a time lapse with the Egla Rufa, it won't apply to the.
right. And once you learn out from Egla Rufa that it's even before this killing, so you have to take it back to the only possible time, which is going to be from the time that you took it. So
When you
Lakish
took
says,
it to kill it.
what?
When you took it to kill it.
When you took it means when you bought it. When you bought it, designated it for that purpose, that's the time that it becomes us. Not when you.
Is that shorter than the Egla?
That's earlier. No, it's earlier. The Egla Roof was only when you started, even when you started taking it down to the Nachal Esan, you got to the Nachal Esan, not when you designated it to be the
Now,
Egla Roof.
I see,
And here it's when you designated it to be a Tziporim Mitzvah.
I see.
So all this was Resh Lakish's Russia. How do you know Tziporim Mitzvah becomes Aser even when it's alive? So to sum up the Machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan says Tziporim Mitzvah only becomes Aser from the Shkita, and Resh Lakish says even earlier from the time that you designated it to be the Tziporim Mitzvah. The Gemara now is going to attack, Rabbi Yochanan is going to try to attack Rish Lakish. Aceway. Avrohom is going to ask all the kashas. I think there are going to be 3 kashas on Rish Lakish. Again, Avrohom says that it's only from Shechita, and Rish Lakish said it's even earlier from the time that they designated. I didn't learn this word, so if we could learn it together. It says in the pasuk, Brisa, sorry, Kol tzipor Torah tochelu, the Rabbi says Hamashulachas, B'zeh shalot tochlu mehem, the Rabbi says Hashchuta. There's a Brisa that says, the pasuk says, when talking about kosher birds, non-kosher birds, nothing to do with our subject. In the pshat level, there's nothing to do with us. It says in the Torah that you're allowed to eat all kosher birds, but you cannot eat the following, and has a list of about 21 birds, the non-kosher birds. So nothing to do with our subject. But there's a drush over there that is extra words. It didn't have to say Kol tzipor Torah, you can eat any kind. It just says, it said, eat kosher birds. It does not say all kosher birds, and it didn't have to say, don't eat the following. Extra words over here. So it says in the Brisa, Kol tzipor Torah, the Chayla was coming to include that you're also allowed to eat the Mishulachas. Mishulachas doesn't do with a kosher bird, non-kosher bird. It's a kosher bird. But you might think that you're not allowed to eat it, even though it's a kosher bird, but since it was used for the Mitzvah, you're not allowed to eat it. So you have a pasuk to say you're allowed to eat the Mishulachas. The one that's going to be sent away is kosher to eat. And the pasuk says, also extra pasuk when it talks about the non-kosher birds, extra pasuk to tell you, the Rabbi says Hashchuta, that you're not allowed to eat the shechted bird. But it says in our Mishnah that we're going to say that's Asur Bana also. That was our drasha to say it's even Asur Bana. But there's a drasha to say that you're not allowed to eat it. That's the brisa. And now, Yochanan is going to use this brisa. That's kasha on Rish Lakish. If, according to you, Rish Lakish, he said that it's even before you shechted it. So you don't need to say that it's us after the shechita. It's surely not going to become kosher. If it was us to eat even before you shechted it, surely the shechita is not going to make it any better. Rabbi Yochanan himself holds it's only us shechita. But according to Rish Lakish, that it's us even before, so you don't need a pasuk to say that it's us after shechita. The Gemara answers, you might think yes, that even though it was us before, maybe by the shechita it's going to become mutter. Nechayim Masiri, Shechita Machshila. By kashmas like that, Nechayim, when the animal was alive, it was kashim, so it's asa. But once you shechted it, then it becomes mutter to eat. Kamash Malan that the shchuta is asa even after you shechted it. Next kasha. Eisvei, not a kasha, Avrohom Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish says that's asa from before the shechita, and Avrohom said only about the shechita. Eisvei. Shechta Vadim says treifa. Mishnah in the Gaon, it talks about these 2 birds. What if you shechted one of them? You're supposed to shecht one of them. You find that it's a treifa. You find that the one you shechted is a treifa. So it's not good. It has to be a kosher bird. It has to be kosher, not a treifa. So you have a live bird again. But we shown it with teres bana. The one that you shechted is mutar bana. Means even though it's we say that it's asur bana. Sipom is also asur bana. But over here, it says treifa, so it's mutar bana. What's the kasha? If you shlokish, you hold that it became us even before you shechted, so how come it becomes mutar bana? The fact that it's a treifa. So I think Rashi explains something over here. Because did I get it right? Rashi, this Rashi, Nim says treifa, because that he found that the shechita wasn't a good shechita. Rashi thinks that this is Rashi is saying what the Gemara thought, that it wasn't Nim says treifa, that it was a treifa the whole time. Then the Gemara's kasha wouldn't be a kasha, which is going to be the Gemara's teretz. If we find that it was a treifa the whole time, so whatever he did was nothing. So it was no kasha on anybody. His word wasn't right all to be. And that's what the Gemara was going to answer him. But the Gemara thought that the case of Nim says treifa was that Nim says treifa b'shchitasa, that you didn't do a good shechita. Rashi says it wouldn't apply the word nimseis if you found, I'm not sure why, that if it was a whole time it was a treifa, I wouldn't have said the word nimseis, I'm not sure why. But Rashi says the Gemara thinks that you found that it was a treifa now, by the shechita, it wasn't a good shechita. And the Gemara's kasha is that it says the first one is mutter. If the shechita asks, according to Yochanan is good, he holds only the shechita asks it. This wasn't a good shechita. But you hold that it's also even mechayim, so maybe at the time that you took it, it was raw and it was asa. So how come it should become mutter now? This came a trade for now. That the Gemara was a kasha on Rish Lakish. Amalei, so Rish Lakish answers, so Chamay Skin, like you're going to Nim says straight for Bibnei Me'el. No, we find it, no, not like you thought that Nim says means it only happened now. Nim says means it was the whole time. So then it's totally not the kasha. So then it wasn't Chal Kedusha on it because it was always not right for. So the second kasha is always taken care of. Esvei, this kasha is going to be a knockout. It says Shachta Shalo Beizov, Shalo Beitzever, Shalo B'Shnei Tolas, which means what? I guess you have to have, I don't know, you have to have the other things also. You have to have, what does it mean? Shachta without an Ezel? What does it mean?
You're supposed to be shachted on top of the
Mine
water with and use the Ezel and.
Then he's supposed to dip it in. So you have to, what does it mean? Shachta Shalo Be'Ezel? I mean, Shachta not with Ezel. Ezel, Beitzera, Shnei Tolas, what does that mean?
Didn't have it.
You have to have it. You have to have it first. You have to have it before you shecht it. So he shechted it, one of the birds, before he had an Ezel, Beitzeras, and a Shnei Tolas. Even though he didn't shecht it correctly because he didn't have the Eitzeres, but since he designated it for the mitzvah, that does become asa. Since it wasn't a good shechita, because we said that, like Rav Nissen there, that has to have the Ezel, so it wasn't a good shechita, so it is mutter. So Avrohom says, you see, everyone holds that the shechita is what answering it. The question is, the shechita she'en eruya. Ad kan lo pligi ela ma'asav shechita she'en eruya shma shechita. In general, a shchita she'en not a kosher shchita is called a shchita. Here, there was some soul, they didn't have 8 seres, 8 of Shnei Tolas, so it's called shchita she'en eruya. Is that enough to answer it? So everybody holds the kol yalma miyah mechaim l'mitzvah. But you held Rabbi Shlakish, you held that it's us from this lifetime. So it's us. What happened with the what's the difference if the shchita was a good shchita or not? Even if there was no shchita, it's us already. So it's right to me that shchita is what answers it. And here is a question if it's called shchita or not. So this is a bomb kasha. The Gemara doesn't have the test for this. And here the Gemara says to no, you're right that you prove that some of these Tanam hold that the shchita what answers it like you, but I find another Tana. So we think the Gemara is going to bring a Tana we never heard of. And the Gemara goes back and brings the Tana we started off with. Tanoi, the Tana the very Rabbi Shmuel Nemar. This is a mistake. My dad over here. Nemar machshir mechaber b'fnim. The Nemar machshir mechaber b'chutz. Ma machshir mechaber omer b'fnim. Asabo machshir k'mechaper. Af machshir mechaber omer b'chutz. Asabo machshir k'mechaper. Which is not much word for word. The Bryce we brought down the Rebbe Shmuel. That's where we started off. I didn't think that it's telling this machlokes. After we learned that, the Gemara, after we had this brisa, we continued now. We didn't think that it was totally Abba. Here the Gemara says, no, that this brisa that says, Machshik Mechaper is to show like the Shlokish, that it's Mishas Lakicha, because that's very interesting. So how's it, I mean, the Gemara till now didn't know that. And the Rebbe doesn't have a source. How do you know that it's also Bukhar? So, I don't know. But the Gemara, it could be this Gemara was like a cut and paste. It didn't start over here. The way the Gemara starts over here, that this is the source, then you can't have a discussion of Yochanan and Rish Lakish and just ignore that the Bryce is exactly like Rish Lakish. So I need more understanding on this point. The Gemara continues, if we have time. So the Gemara left it as a machlokes, but the Bryce that we said that the source that you know that Tzipor Mitzvah says from Eglavu, but then it's supposed to even from the Shas Lakicha. Rabbi Yochanan says it's from Shas Shchita. He has a brisa like him. Gufa. It could be that this Russia will be the Russia now. That maybe Rabbi Yochanan will use this Russia that it says V'sasha lo tochlu, the Rabbi says Shchuta, that you're not allowed to eat it. How you know you're not allowed to know? Maybe that'll be a kasha, but maybe there's a new drush over here. So Gufa, we learned from this brisa. Called Tzipor Torah Tochelu, the Rabbi says Amshulachas, V'zeh Shalot Tochlu, remember the Rabbi says Ashkuta. That was a brisa brought earlier that is talking about which kosher birds, which non-kosher birds, and there's extra drush over there to tell you that the Mshulachas you're allowed to eat, and the Shchuta you're not allowed to eat. The Epoch, I know. Maybe it's the opposite. Who tells you which one it is? It says one is mutter, one is asa. How do you know which one is mutter? Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the shchuta is the one that's mutter. You shechted it, it's kosher shchuta. And maybe the mishalachas is asa. So the Gemara has a couple of answers to this kasha. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Ramatzina Baalei Chaim Shasurim. Rashi says Isra Olam. You don't find that a live Baal Chai, a living being, is us forever. What does that mean? You don't find a live being that something should become us. Of course, they're non-kosher animals, but non-kosher birds. But you don't find something that becomes us.
That was mutter.
That was mutter and became
I'm just
us
guessing.
forever. Which one? By Balachai. By something which is not alive, you do find. I didn't think about it. The Gemara has some kashas, but the Gemara says you don't find such a thing that it's a living being that becomes us forever. Master Flag or Shmuel Rav Yitzchak is no such thing. Below, Va'arei, Amid Beis, Va'arei, Muktzah v'nevad. Muktzah means something which is designated to Avodah Zarah, or designated to being as a Tikrobas Avodah Zarah, or Nevad, the animal which was even a live animal, which was designated as Avodah Zarah, that it's a Baal Chai, and still it's Asr. So there is such a thing as, you can't tell me no such thing. The Baal Chaim Ninu Vasiri. The Gemara answers, my klal, I mean to say, Ki Asiri Lagavoa, Legend Mishra Shavar. You don't find over there, it's also, but only us, the net and the only us for a carbon. It isn't us if you want to eat it. For head, you're not eat it. So it doesn't become also like a regular Isra no about Avodah Zarah true, but it's also carbon. That's the answer, I think. The head of Mishra Shami. So my Master Fabiemia, there is something. The Adim, if there are Adim that say that an animal was a Rabbi Nirva, that it had relations with a human being, so then it becomes Asa, the Baalei Chaim Nenu Basiri. So you do see that a Baal Chai becomes Asa. Yes, Asa even for Hedyot. You're not allowed to eat it even as a meat. So I have to edit. We have to amend the way Rabbi Yochanan quoted Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. You don't find too many. You're right, you find one case, but mostly you don't have it. So here, if it's a question when the Torah is saying that one is mutter, one is asa, then Mishalachas and the Shkut, then Mistaber, that the Shkut is asa and the Baal Chai is mutter. That's Teres number one. Teres number two, it says in the pasuk, send out the live bird al Pnei Asadeh, so it didn't have to say Sadeh. Kisadeh, the person coming to tell you has the same thing as a Sadeh. Ma Sadeh Muteres, al Kahai Nami Muteres. It's similar to the Sadeh, just like the Sadeh is mutter, you're allowed to eat things from the vegetable, the vegetation. So too, the one that you're sending away is also mutter. But the Gemara says the pasuk is used up for a drasha already. I said Rachi Yudasa. You can't use it for this drasha, it's used for something else. Sadeh Shalom Mod Biyafo Vizrukan Aliyam, the Geves Vizrukan Al-Midbar, Shalom Mod Chus Leir Vizrukan Al-Basol Chayir, Elo Kol Shomid Beir Vizrukan Al-Chus Lachoma. This pasuk per se, that means that he's supposed to send it away. That you stand in the city and you send it out of the city. But you shouldn't be sending it to the Yam or sending it to the Midbar. It's supposed to be in a city and you're sending it not Sadeh. Sadeh is the outskirts of the city. So the pasuk is used up already. How do you know to learn out the Sadeh means that it's mutter? Just like the Sadeh is mutter. Vidach, this is Talmud Devei Shmuel. In Kei Nechtav Kras Sadeh, my Hasadeh, Shaminot Tarti. There's an extra letter over there to tell you two drushes. One is that you send it out of the city into the field, and the other one is that it's mutter like a field. So we have two pshatim. And the third pshat, Rav Amar, simple, the Amar Torah, Shalach L'Takala. The pasuk doesn't say that he should send away the bird and call somebody a mikshal. If you say that this bird is us a bird, no one's going to know, it doesn't have any tag on it. How do you know that it's going to be us? Someone's going to find it, he's going to catch it and use it to eat. And it really is asa. It can't be that Torah asks something which is impossible to be aware of it. So it must be that the one that's shkuta, that's the one that's asa. You know where it is. And the other one, the mishalachas is mutter. So you have three pshatim. The pasuk says one is mutter, one is asa. Three pshatim to know which is which. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai said that you don't usually find something which is a Baal Chai, which is asa forever. Rashi says the word forever, I'm not sure. And the second drash was because it says hasadeh, extra hay over there to tell you that it's mutter like the sadeh. And the third Rashi is a svara that Torah is not going to say that make a takala, but it's mashma even according to Rava, only because of the pasuk. Only you have to have that pasuk. Which one is which? But the svara alone wouldn't have been a reason to be mutter. I'm not sure why. But once you know
we have a draft to say that one of them is also.
One of them is mutter, one of them is asa. Yeah, but if it would have been that the firm is asa, is it possible to say that shlach takala? It could have been. So maybe not also. It's enough of a svara to decide which one it is. Which one is which? Okay, Yashikar, everybody.
Sure,
So we learned today about Orla, Klai Kerem, Sharniska, Egla Rufa, and Sephora Mitzvah. 5 out of 9.
I have 9. Good.